Hello there. My name is Peter Thompson, and I've been teaching people to play golf now for 46 years, and I still find it extremely rewarding, and I just enjoy getting people to hit better golf shots. Many people have no idea, basically, about certain aspects of the swing. If I mention square faces, or wrist hinges, or in to out or out to in, people's minds glaze over because they're not really sure what I'm talking about. So I take great pride in trying to get all the people that I teach to understand a little bit about what we are trying to do. This DVD is about the swing plane. A swing plane is the line of the swing. Club head goes back in an arc, it goes back on a line, it goes back in a plane. They all mean the same thing. Swing plane, swing arc, swing line, it's all the same thing. The important thing to realize is that the golf ball only goes where the club head goes and not necessarily where you want it to go. Most golfers I teach, and probably people listening to the DVD, want to hit the ball fairly straight. I certainly do, most golfers do, but the ball only goes where the club head goes. So the club head initially needs to aim at the target, it then needs to go back on a certain line, so when it comes down to hit the ball will go fairly straight. It's a little bit like kicking a penalty at football or rugby. This isn't a rugby ball, obviously, but it will serve perfectly to show you about a swing plane or a swing line. It's an angle that you hit the ball at or kick a ball at. If I wanted to kick this ball, let's say, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 yards, I've got three choices of the angle I kick it at. Number one, I could stand directly behind it and then try and kick it straight. Number two, I could stand to this side of it and then try and kick it straight and that away. Number three, I could stand a little bit to this side and then try and kick it straight that away. If you've watched rugby or football penalty kicks, every single person you've seen, if he's a right-footed player, will hit the ball, kick the ball from this angle, because this is the best angle to hit the ball at to give him the maximum speed of his shoe boot on the club to make the football or rugby ball go straight. Also, if you watch them, even though they could go back at this angle as far as they wanted to, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 yards, they would only go back 3 or 4 yards. Because like in a golf swing, if you take the golf club back as far as you need to, you can then hit the ball as far as you need to. There's no point in taking the golf club back miles and miles and miles. The football player, the rugby player, taking a penalty, goes back 3 or 4 paces. He can then hit the ball as hard as he wants to in the right direction with complete control. So it's the angle you approach the object at. So I'll put this to one side for a second and reintroduce the golf ball. Try and hit the ball straight down the line of the mat. If for whatever reason the golf club comes round this way, then there's a good chance the ball will go out to the right. If the club goes this way, there's a good chance the ball will go to the left, unless the face is open or closed, then it can go left and then slice or left and then hook. So to hit the ball reasonably straight, we need to get the angle, the line of the swing, the direction of the golf club more or less where it needs to be. I'm going to show you my computer screen now, two fantastic golf swings, and then maybe you'll get a clearer idea about the line of a golf swing. This is only ours. I took this film myself at the Masters in 2004. I was a guest of Gary Wolstenholme, who just won the Amateur Championship the year before, so I spent 5 days here. There's experience. So we have two lines on the screen now. We have a line parallel to the shaft and another line that goes from the club head through his neck. The important thing is that the golf ball is in between those two lines, and if for whatever reason your club head goes to the right of the top line or to the left of the bottom line, there's a good chance the ball won't go particularly straight. It might do, but it'll be a fluke. So in the backswing, we'll show you the backswing fairly slowly. In the backswing, the golf club's going to stay in between those two lines, and in the downswing it's going to be also in between the two lines. And this is essential, especially in the downswing, not so important in the backswing, but certainly in the downswing the club has to come down on line. The golf club is now pointing more or less at the ball, so there's a good chance, everything else being equal, the ball is going to take off and go nice and straight. And this particular shot did. There's the ball taking off straight down the fairway. It then fades a bit to the right into the middle of the fairway. I'll watch that at normal speed, and the club head stays in between the two lines because that's where the ball is. That's the important thing to learn. This is Retief Goosen, another wonderful swing. Great golfer, also from South Africa. I used to teach there in Johannesburg a couple of years, many years ago. Retief Goosen. Same two lines, one parallel to the shaft, two, second top line is above the club head and through his neck. I will just watch this in slow motion. And the club head stays wonderfully in between the two lines, all the way up, all the way down, and it comes outside the lines right at the end of the swing, and that's perfectly normal. So that's the basic swing plane. The club has to stay certainly coming down in between the two lines, because if it doesn't, the ball simply cannot go straight. These are the two lines on my swing. One line goes parallel to the shaft and just underneath it, and the second line goes front of the toe of the club and through my neck. And the club head goes back and down in between the two lines. And as you can see, the shaft is again pointing more or less straight at the ball, because that's the object you want to hit. And if you hit it at the right angle and the face is square, then off the ball goes in a nice straight line. So there's the golf ball in between the two lines, and we wish the ball to go straight. The club goes that way, big problem, it will probably come down that way. If the club goes this way, big problem, the ball will probably go that way. So we need to get the golf club to go back in between the two lines. In between the two lines. I guess you're wondering how to achieve that. Well, unless you get the stance right and the grip right, and the posture right, then you probably won't. Gripping, aiming, standing, posture, it's about 75% of the shot. There's a DVD just on the stance and the posture, well worth looking at. This one is about the swing line, the swing plane, and it's a follow-on from a correct posture. With a bad posture, let's say you've got a bad grip and a closed stance, then the club will come around this way. Well, that's not going to work. Or a very open stance and a bad grip, then the club's going to go out that way, all by itself. With a good grip, a good stance, then we can keep the golf club nicely in between those two lines. To achieve that, what we're going to do is, number one, turn the shoulders round, turn the chest round, turn the hips round, whilst we push our arms away from us. This way. Hips turn, chest turn, and your arms move away from you. From a good stance, good posture, with a good turn and a good arm movement, then that is what is going to happen. I'm going to go back onto the computer screen now and show you another very good swing, and we'll see the same thing happening. This is Darren Clark. I took this film again at the Masters 6 years ago now. So we'll draw the lines in. And then we'll see if he turns round and lifts his arms correctly and stays in between the two lines. I think he probably will. Yeah, that's a good example. Turning round, lifting his arms in between the two lines, and there yet again is the club pointing at the ball, which is pretty important. I think that's but charming there, yes, I'm sure it is. So normal speed, club stays in between the two lines. This is a combination of turning round, turning your hips, turning your chest round whilst you push your arms away from you. I'm going to add one more line in now, because if you get yourself in a good position at the top on the right sort of line, then your hands will more or less go above your right ankle bone. And that's within maybe half an inch of being above the right ankle bone. So it's a turn and a lift. Body turns, arms lift. I'll go back on the mat and explain that to you in some detail, and then we'll come back and look at a few more golfers doing just that. So turn round and your arms lift. Surprisingly, that's what happens in a swing. Your arms lift and your wrists hinge and your body turns round. Arms lift, body turns. Body turns, arms lift. Same thing. I'll now redraw the lines back on, and then you can see how that will work. So bottom line, parallel to the golf club. Top line, outside the toe of the club, so the golf ball is in between those two lines. So it's a turn and a lift, or a lift and a turn, same thing really. So what we'll do now is we'll just turn round, and the club will come below the bottom line. Now we'll just lift my arms and the club head goes above the top line, but we want the club to stay in between the lines. To achieve that, we're going to turn round and lift at the same time. So a little bit of lift and a little bit of turn, and there we are, back in between those two lines. Body turns, arms lift. I'll now show you two very good golfers doing the same thing. This is Bobby Jones, and I'm going to draw a line in on his right heel, and then you will see that when he goes back, he's turning around, lifts his arms, and is more or less exactly on that line. We'll show you that one again. So big hip turn. So he's turning round, then lifting his arms, so now he's exactly on the right line, just where he needs to be. And his record is phenomenally good. He won the US Open, beating all the pros 4 times. He won the British Open 3 times, beating all the pros. He won the British Amateur once. He won the US Amateur 5 times, all by the time he was 28 years of age, so retired from professional golf. I think the man was a genius. So we'll see if Ben Hogan swings in plane and see if his hands are above his right ankle bone. Let's have a look. Just to the left. Just to the left is fine. In fact, this film just moves slightly. I'll just adjust the... It's a very old film, you see, and these older films, the cameras aren't probably on tripods, and it just moves a little bit. So I just need to do a slight adjustment there, and his hands are more or less on the line. We'll now look at Tiger Woods' swing when he won the, I think it was the USPGA 2007. There's the line above his ankle bone. With a good combination of turning and lifting, his hands should go back more or less onto that line. We'll see if they do. Yes. So, brilliant golfers spanning 8 decades, all more or less doing the same thing. I'll show you one more. I'll show you Lorna Ochoa. And we'll see if her hands go back above her right ankle bone. World number 1 golfer, actually. In fact, I think she's retired this year. I'm sure she has. This is the 2007 Ladies British Open. That's in Andrews, but I guess you could guess that by looking at that wonderful clubhouse behind there. There the hands, just left of the line. Left of the line is fine, on the line is fine, in front of the line is a bit too steep. I've only played there once. It's a wonderful experience. Everyone should go and play there. So the swing line is created by turning your body around and moving your arms away from your body, and if you do that reasonably accurately, you will swing back with your hands more or less above your right ankle bone. That's pretty good, very good, and that gives you a good hitting position. Don't forget the backswing is just about giving you a good hitting position, and the closer you can stay in line or in plane going back, then you certainly have far more chance coming down of hitting the ball straight. So I guess people need to know how to practice these things, so I'm just going to give you 1 or 2 ideas on how to practice them. Best way of all really is to have a golf professional who has a camera and understands the lines, and then you can see for yourself. In my studio I've got a screen. You're looking at the DVD, but in front of me I've got a TV screen, so you can in fact swing back and look and see where you're swinging to. So, turn round, push your arms away. Cameras are ideal for checking this, or you could use a mirror. Mirrors are quite good, and if you imagine the edge of the screen is the edge of the mirror, so your right ankle bone goes on the edge of the mirror, and if you swing back reasonably well, your hands will go back just about onto the edge of a mirror. Or you could get a friend to watch you, and he could stand and hold a club vertically above your right ankle bone, and then he can tell if you're online or too low or too high. If you're too low, then you've probably lifted your shoulder too high. If you're too high, you probably haven't turned your shoulders around far enough. So try and make sure you turn your shoulders around about 90 degrees and lift your hands just about in front of your face there, and then you'll be more or less on the right line. The lines are important, the angles are important, but don't get too concerned about being on them all the time, because golf actually is a game where the people who tend to do best are the ones who make the least number of mistakes. So we're not trying to make you into a perfect golfer. I'm certainly not. No one is really. We're trying to give you some guidelines, and I can almost guarantee if you stay within these guidelines, your swing line will be better and your shots will certainly go a lot straighter. I hope you learned something about swing planes or angles of attack, and I hope you can put them into practice. Thank you very much.